Welcome to the Nailed It Wall.
On this week's episode of the Nailed It Wall, we're going to talk about submitting the Samsung Solve for tomorrow with our amazing 8th graders. Somebody's going to give a public apology, and we're going to talk about how do teachers prepare for these final 2 weeks before break. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 24 of the Nailed It Wall. I'm Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And I'm Mrs. Scofield.
All right, partner. It was a great week this past week. I cannot wait to get started for this week's podcast. I absolutely love listening to last week's podcast, us going back and forth. Now tell us, how did you nail it this week?
Okay, so I had a really decent failed it that just piggybacked on my last failed it, right off the Rubik's Cube order. So where we left you last, listeners, we had to go and pick up the Rubik's Cube order that I had erroneously put the wrong address in for, and had 2 failed attempts to correct the address with people in Canada that claimed I'd never spoken to them. And
not that you're not bitter.
I'm still harboring some sincere resentment there, but I did a lot of prep stuff, and so I looked up the address, sent it to you ahead of time, which was really huge. Normally I would just wing that on the spot.
We were pulling out, and you just realized you almost forgot an important part.
Well, that's my part. We did pull out. That's the whole point, is we left and we were about to head there. And then I realized that one of the main components, which I had worried about forgetting, was this very vaguely termed letter of authorization, which I still wasn't even sure who is authorized. I mean, I had my badge, which I have no regrets taking the staff badge picture that I take. However, I realize it does put me at a strange disadvantage when I use it as my professional proof of being a teacher, because,
And the word professional.
Yeah, and I like to have fun, and the kids really enjoy it if I just show my own personality in picture day. And so my picture is a little bit different, but it's fine. I stand by it, and I used it.
How did the lady at UPS react when she saw your school badge?
It was pretty awesome. She supported it. I asked her not to judge me, but she did, but in a positive way. So it worked out that time. And so anyway, that was my failed it, is I had everything lined up, and then we had to come back to the school. Not only do we have to come back to the school, but it's not just like a letter you can print out. It has to be on company letterhead, which Mrs. Bennett, Mariana, is the best person ever, because it's the end of her day, and she stopped what she was doing, which I'm sure was 17 different things, and pulled up the letter, copied and pasted everything that I needed, printed it out, signed it as our authorized person. Oh, speak of the person right there. It's Mrs. Bennett sending me a text. So she took care of the whole thing. I had my letter, went down there. The most hilarious part about that is that when I got there and I stood in this very, very heinous line, which was like full of depression and sadness. And
you compared it to the DMV.
It was like the DMV, if the DMV could be worse. So it was like that. And very drab. I said to Mrs. Bennett this morning that they had like 1.5 workers, because there was technically another person, but I could not see the purpose they were serving. So anyway, get up to the line, and I'm hearing multiple people say, I'm sorry, get turned away. Like, we don't have your package.
This was not a short travel either.
It was not a short travel. Oh my gosh. I think that might have been either in Tucson or New Mexico. It was really, really far. And it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's nothing there. Oh, there's stuff there, but it's seedy. But anyway, so get up to the line, and the lady said, oh, you don't even need this letter, which is good.
Well, let's say that like everyone was saying like their things are still in the truck.
Still in the truck, and we don't have it, and whatever. So even though they were told to come on that day and all that, their stuff was not there. So I just assumed when I got up there, I would hear the same statement. I had already mentally steeled myself for that news, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Ryan would not have been happy if that was the end result.
I know. And I love that you said Ryan, because as I'm handing the lady the letter, I realized it had been in the back by Ryan, and there's like chocolate marks all over it. So I have my really ridiculous teacher, badge, and then I have this letter that's just covered in chocolate. And the lady was so cool. And that was one of my favorite parts is, when we get to talk about things that are kind of Rubik's Cube, it's not like we invented it or, and there's other people doing it, but it's really not something that gets a ton of recognition, I don't think. And so, I am a huge advocate for adults, solving it. So I keep hassling, people, giving them grief about not trying and like that they need to try that. So she was really enthusiastic when she found out it was an order of Rubik's Cubes and gave me this whole story about how she used to solve it as a kid. It was one of her favorite toys. And then she bought one last Christmas and her grandson peeled off all the stickers. So I encouraged her to buy a new one. She said she wanted to come see our tournament that we go to at
You're a people person. This
I
is
love
what you
people.
do. And the best part is that you got a selfie with her.
I got a selfie with her, which I will post with this.
And she said she's going to buy a Rubik's Cube.
She's going to buy a Rubik's Cube, and I told her about where you can find tutorials to kind of like freshen that up in your mind. And she was so, so excited. And she said, I wish there were things like this for me when I was a kid. That I didn't even know that you could do tournaments. I didn't know anybody still did this, and that just makes me so excited because it was one of my favorite things, and I wish I had had that when I was a kid. So, it was such a good way to end that whole experience because it had been such a traumatizing thing, as you well know. And then tell what you saw on our way back.
Oh, like we were driving back. Mind you, like just last week, me and you, like never go on this route. Is it the 60?
It's the 60.
Like me and you,
Was it Grand Avenue?
Yeah, Grand
right?
Avenue. We stay away from that, like no matter what. Like
it's awful.
We've both been living here close to 10 plus years. How long have you been here?
I'm
Not
maybe
10.
5, maybe.
Yeah,
6?
maybe.
I don't know.
And we never go on this, and everyone goes on Grand. Like we stay away from thing at all. Tony, like last week, pulled a Yui in the middle of Grand last week.
Talk about the ultimate Falcon move. He got with his flock and just turned. It was good.
And going back to that story, the amazing thing was we got there and back, and we didn't get lost. Like it was a miracle that we didn't go on this side adventure. We didn't have anything come.
Remember when I almost missed our turn, though?
Oh, you did almost miss our turn.
Really quite
You were nervous. You were nervous. You're like, this is the one that has like 6 intersections.
Yeah.
Is this where we turn? I'm like, 800 feet. Keep going.
I totally almost botched that.
So it was a miracle that we didn't get lost. I mean, that was our nailed it right there, that we did not
really
get lost.
was.
But then all of a sudden, this random car was driving down, and there was like a tire roll in the middle of the road.
Big old tire right through, and cars are like dodging it, and it was so crazy. And do you remember another part that I just remembered right now is when we're on our way home, Grand was slammed. Like it was so trafficy. I mean, we left, it wasn't super late, but when we were coming back, because it took so long in the place, as what Ryan called the customer center, it took so long in there.
He read that on his own.
Yeah,
he was very proud.
He read that on his own. And then when we were coming back, it was the major traffic time. So I get this bright idea that I know where I'm going, right? And I'm gonna try and take us a different route. You're like,
I'm just gonna turn right here. Like,
and you immediately snuffed that idea right out, which is probably why we made it back, to be quite honest. Because I'm like, no, I have a feeling, and you're like, yeah, that has not panned out well for us. Yeah.
Usually I'm all for those feelings, but today Ryan was he was pretty cranky, and like that's the thing. Like our kids, they go on these adventures with us all the time, and we're like, oh, we could go do this, and that's like kind of the things I enjoy. But this day Ryan was not gonna have a side adventure. I mean, we were pulling up in the neighborhood, and he was just like, I need to go home. Like, we gotta get home.
So
there.
Annoyed with us. So anyway, that was my failed it, which was kind of a mixed bag. But the good news is we have our Rubik's Cubes, right? We have a whole set of 2x2s.
Excited.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really fun. So we just have.
And I need to freshen up and solve the 2x2, but I just love your sharing stories, your love of the cube, and just at the UPS customer center.
I know we have a cube mentality here. It's been really, really good. And so that was my failed it. But then my nailed it. I had a lot of really good moments this week that I was really happy about, and we'll talk about one of the really big ones in a minute. But yesterday, it was just Ella and I, and so she gave me a whole list of things that she wanted to accomplish in a day. And in my mind, I let her write all those down, anticipating that I was probably going to just bail on most of them because it was a pretty ambitious list of to-dos. And so anyway, we got pretty much every single one of them done. And I'm not talking about just simple things like the mall in December. Oh my gosh, sorry. Oh my gosh, something just
a hydraulics project just shifted on its own.
Oh my gosh, that scared me so bad. Okay, so the mall in December is kind of beastly, and it's a Saturday. And so Ella really wanted to go in and go shopping in some different stores. So we did that. And wanted to go to lunch, fine. There was failed it with that, but I won't bore everyone with the details. And then it was like she wanted to go to Ulta. She wanted to go to, there was another store that was on her list. I can't remember what it was, but we did all of these things in a short amount of time. But the part that I was most proud of was that I felt like I mommed really hard yesterday, but part of that is that I brought her to this like third party DMV-esque kind of place so that we could get her picture taken for her permit. And I really did not want to do that. I've been putting off. I was telling her I'm so busy and all that because I just don't want her to do it. I just don't want her to be driving. But I knew that it's super important to her. And so I decided to make that a priority, and we drove way, way far and got that done. And she was beaming, just so happy. And so, that I feel like that's a nailed it as a mom.
She was very excited, and you've been having a hard time dealing with this as a parent.
That's hard. And even yesterday, I was driving with Mackenzie, and I said there was somebody that just blew down the road like so fast. And it was driving so reckless, like weaving in and out, and it was raining and it was dark, and it was just a really, really dangerous thing. And it was like my whole heart just sank because that's my fear. My fear is not that Ella's going to drive like that. My fear is that other people are going to drive like that near her, and there's nothing that you can do to keep them from that. And you just have to trust in their good instincts and all that. So that's hard, but that's life. And so actually your daughter had a great solution. Just don't let her drive. Just tell her no. Just don't. And I was like, yeah, but that's going to be problematic for her future. So you realize that you kind of just have milestones. Some are going to be harder than others. I really haven't struggled with a lot of them. This would be the first.
And she still hasn't driven yet. Is that true?
It's true. She wanted to go earlier, and it was raining, and I will tell you, I'm not starting my kid to her first time driving a car. It's not even my car, and I'm not driving that in the rain. I'm just not. So I said, we'll wait for a nice, mellow, dry day, which she was fine with.
She's a trooper. Well, with that being said, you had a lot of great nailed it in the point in terms of missing the mark this week. Now,
Yes,
I've been
you.
on you about... Now, you do a great job with, and we're going to talk more about, like, how do you get kids focused these last 2 weeks before winter break, and talk about, like, the ugly sweater contest that you do with kids.
Oh, yeah. So we saw it on Kessler, I think, is the first time that you and I had seen that. And it was on the Kessler Facebook site, and Chris Kessler. And that is...
If you're an educator and science, STEM,
Yeah.
you need to, join this, community.
Truly the best. I think it's called the Kessler Professional Network. Is that what it is? Learning Network or something like that. It's definitely worthwhile.
Community, PLC, maybe.
Yeah, looking that up. I mean, you and I would get stuck in that, for hours. Like, just so many resources. And, there still are so many resources on there. I've kind of gone away from Facebook quite a bit, but I love everything that I've gotten from there. It's just gold.
It is gold
in there. And so I saw a template on there that people were doing, I guess it had to have been 2 years, like the first year. And so did that with those kids, and what I had them do was design an ugly Christmas sweater based on a science concept that we had learned that year, or that they knew was going to be content that they were going to be covering this year, a topic, whatever, Newton's laws, because Newton's laws they already have exposure to thanks to the fabulous Mr. Foote, so they could do that as well. But the stuff was, remember the stuff that they did that year is amazing. And so I picked my favorite 5. So I did one from every class. I don't remember what I did. I did a lot because I bought candy prizes for all of the winners, which cost me, I think I spent $80 that year on candy, because I didn't just buy little stuff. I asked them their favorite stuff, and then I put together stuff. Sometimes you and I have these ideas and we go all in, and then I look at it go, that was kind of expensive, but it was still very, very exciting. But then the top one I paid to have made into a Christmas sweater, and I wore that last year, and took a picture with them and posted that up on Kessler to kind of inspire other people. It was a huge sensation.
It was huge. It was like one of like the most popular like things on Kessler. Like, and then the cool thing about Kessler is like just the conversations among teachers and how excited they get and the number of likes and comments. It just like blew up. And I've been on you. I'm like you got to get. And you chose 2 winners from last year, right?
Well, I wanted you to help me determine which one, and you're like, I don't know, I feel like you just need you 2. And I was like, really, do I? Because that's a lot of money. It's not cheap to order these sweaters, but they were both so different. And the one I knew I had to pick. It was just, it's like this sketch of Rosalind Franklin, and it was from a student that's just like so talented artistically, and I really was excited to sport that one. But this other one was pretty spectacular as well. Had a lot of components from the year, and so I don't know what your next thing is. Do I just keep saying what I did then about my failed it on this part?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I've been pushing you. I'm like, because it gets the kids excited. So if like year 1, you have that sweater. From year 2, you chose 2 winners. And then to get them excited, you don't like, and we came up with this idea together. And we're like, what if we did this? And like, typical us, always taking it to the next level, like, we don't care about the cost. We'll figure that out later. We'll be like, we'll do this. And my goal is like, imagine you had 25 years of like teaching experience, and every year for the month of December to wear a sweater every day.
Yes.
And so technically you should be up to like 3 sweaters by now. And
no, this is the third year.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you should have 2, but you chose 2 winners. Like
I should have, yeah. So here is the problem with this. Okay, it is a phenomenally good plan, and I love it. But there is a silent partner in this, and that is my wonderfully talented sister, Jess. And I am dependent on her at this point. She is a whiz with Photoshop. And you and I love the template, right? It's like this really cute little sweater design. And so that's what they put their design on. But you can't upload that image into this ugly Christmas sweater. It has to be made into one complete picture, which requires Photoshop editing. And I have been asking Jess, but she had a baby, and so it's not been super high on her priority. And then her daughter was in a movie, so like she's had other things, which I totally respect. So I've been kind of gently trying to kind of talk her into doing this. And recently, actually, she wanted me to send her something. Oh, I took really awesome videos of karaoke at Thanksgiving, and she wanted me to send those to her, and I basically made a barter. And sure enough, she right away did it. And so I've ordered one. That is the long story for the short point, which is I have now put in my order for one. Unfortunately, the estimated delivery date, what did I tell you? January
8th.
Yeah. So not in time for Christmas. However,
I did not take this news well.
I know. I'm hoping for a Christmas miracle. I think the other one came earlier.
Yeah,
I feel like it did.
Happened last year.
Yeah, I think it did. And I ordered it a few days ago, so right at the beginning of December, and I know it's a busy time of year there. However, I am choosing to believe that it will be here in time. So I will keep you posted on that. The second one, I will probably just order when I order the winning one, which I'm only picking one single sweater this year. It's too much pressure to do both. So anyway, and my sister has requested that I change the template. However, as you and I have discussed, it's so much cuter when they hang in the window.
But true, you can't. My big thing too is like, everything we do, we want to share, we want to get it out there. And I'm like, you're not gonna have your Kessler post, and like so many people. So like, you were the original. Like you started this, like not the ugly sweater, but like turning like the winter one into a sweater, and like kind of having that goal of like 25 different sweaters. And don't get stressed about this.
No,
but I've been on you, and you've been thankful. You're like this is why you push me for these things.
Yeah, it's good.
And I've been the positive voice, been like, it's gonna be okay. But the reason why you can't switch from this template is because like you do a great job like hanging each class up in your windows and like walking by like all kids of all grade levels, like looking at them and checking them out, and
it is really cool, and it's a source of pride for them. So I am really anxious to do that. And I typically don't wear my ugly sweater as a spoiler, right? So I wear it the day of, and then
like when you roll it out.
When I roll it out, and the problem is that we had an ugly Christmas sweater day for the staff, and I'm trying super hard to participate in spirit things because I think it's important for that to be a K-8 plus every teacher, kind of thing. And so that's literally the only one I have. And so I wore it out. but it's fine. It was a good conversation, and it's all going to be great.
It is. I'm hoping, but it's we really, all teachers out there, if you're a science, STEM, computer science teacher, really think about joining this Kessler
That's
Professional
awesome.
Learning Network.
I love that thing.
Twitter, we've always talked about, me and you're big on Twitter now, and it just doesn't translate to like the things that they share and how they kind of have this community there. But you should share your post on your Facebook post from last year on Twitter, so everyone can kind of see like
really
how
cool.
much how many people think we were going by, and like the thing was just blowing up. It was going viral on this Kessler
It
Professional
really
Learning
was.
Network.
You are good about monitoring stuff like that.
I get excited, and
know.
like you do a great job with that. Another thing where I felt like you missed the mark a little bit was last week on the podcast, you accused me of stealing your Modge Podge. Now, do you have anything to say to me?
Yes, I do. And actually, the timing of you sent me a message. I was at drama practice, and you said something about, I feel like, how did you phrase it? But basically, you were calling balderdash on my accusation of you taking the Modge Podge. And I was like, he's out of his mind. There is no way I'm off on this. So right after I got out, I went into my room, and you had so kindly put all of that stuff in the back of my room. So I start pulling stuff out, and sure enough, at the bottom of one of the bags is this very large full thing of Modge Podge, and I immediately thought, oh great, there it is, he's right, I was wrong. So I privately apologize to you, but I publicly say I was wrong. I was off base on that, so my apologies.
I will accept your apology.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you making your wrong a right there.
This is true. Yes,
you are a better person than myself, and I wouldn't put it past me to take your Modge Podge, but I was pretty adamant that I didn't. I even went to my closet where I put my Modge Podge. I mean, this thing's like a $35 thing worth of Modge Podge.
It really is.
It is huge. And if you haven't checked out the STEM Resource Center, make sure you check that out. And we had our first question from a listener. What was the question we received in regards to the STEM Resource Center?
Two questions. One was, what kind of qualifications need to be in place for someone to be able to attend, to go make a visit to this place? And so it was asked, can I say who?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So our amazing Mrs. O, Carla, who we adore. And it was such a good question. And so we were kind of doing some investigation further into that. And you are cordially invited, Mrs. O, to put in a request to be added to their visit list. And so what is it?
So it's any school employees, could be administrator, librarian, teacher. They want this to kind of go all back to schools there. So, and you can visit it twice a year, so once per semester. So that was the other question that she had. She had said that perhaps we misspoke, and so I have not had a chance to go back and double check, but I think it's just good to cover that basis. So twice a year, so once a semester. And I've been trying to tell my buddies who are assistant principals in other districts, I'm like, you got to introduce this to teachers, trying to get them excited. And then I told them, all right, next time we go, you guys got to come with me. So I'm just like passionate about this, that what Amazon is doing and the Maricopa County Superintendent's Office is doing for teachers to get them excited. And so check it out. Carla, you would go there, and you would have so many ideas.
Oh my gosh, so many ideas. I will hope, and if you go and I'm not able to go, if you could get me another Marco Polo Pickles relative, that would be greatly appreciated.
Well, speaking of which, I think we got to talk about what happened to Marco Polo Pickles this past week.
It's very, very devastating to our classroom culture. He has lost his voice, very similar in fashion to like Ariel with the Sea Witch. I'm not saying that's what happened. That is one of the theories circulating in our class, but he will light up, his eyes light up, but there is no voice, and it's a little bit sad. I feel like he's seen dark things, and we can't get him to speak up again, and we're very distraught.
You have a theory, though. What was your theory?
My theory is that he was dropped, and his voice box has been disattached. What is the word? You know what I'm saying? Detached. That's the word. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. But I'm not opening that poor little bird who's already seen some trauma.
A lot of kids want to open them.
They want to open him up. And as much as I love the stem around that, I love that guy. He is now such a big, important part of our announcements. And I just don't want him to lose the light in his eyes, literally and figuratively, metaphorically, you know.
I love your theory. So if you're an 8th grader listening, maybe you know something that happened to Marco Polo Pickles.
I know, we're very upset. But, you know, we love him just the same.
Well, I think this is kind of like a karma thing as well. Now, my nailed it this week is I'm a notorious prankster. Like, I love playing pranks. You love playing pranks. But I hate people pulling pranks on me. I get so upset about it. I've actually, like, not lost friends, but I haven't talked to friends for long periods of time because I take pranks like so bad and I get so upset, but I love doing pranks. And so that kind of makes me like the worst person in that regard. And
it's the irony.
I still am planning my prank against a teacher on this campus that pulled an epic prank on me. I've been planning this one for like 4 years. It's going to be epic when it happens. But just know if you're listening and you teach at Sierra Verde, there is justice coming your way. So we're talking about birds and how much you hate birds. You despise birds.
I have a deep-seated dislike and fear.
Yes, and we have this like nice little white, you know, like trees you get from like home or Hobby Lobby, you know, the little lights on it.
It's very serene.
And it is, and so it's up there. And then for Halloween, there's like this black, creepy, like little raven, and so I put it on there. And like, I think you even got scared when you came to my house, and
creepy.
like you're
It's
like
super creepy.
You're like, oh my God, there's a bird up there.
Yeah, because it looks surprisingly real, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it totally does. And so Heather made me take it down. She's like, it's just so creepy. Take that thing down for Thanksgiving. Like, you're like, we're having people over. That thing cannot be in the tree. I'm like, but it just kind of makes me happy. It's like this blackbirds and this like white tree, and it's like, and he's like watching everything like with the one side of his head.
Poem there. Yeah.
Yes, it could be.
Yeah.
So anyways, my wife makes me take it down, and I'm like, and he's got like these little bendy feet, so he can like attach to anything.
He does have bendy feet.
So I put it on her visor, like when she goes to sit in her car, this thing's like sitting upside down. And I wish I had a video of like how she reacted, but she lost her mind that I put that in there, and she was like so upset that the thing was like upside down. Attack. Yes, you would have.
Like literally.
But the best part was your brother drove back with you from California, and he had your car the other night, and you're like, can you give me a ride home? And then we tried to pull a prank with Marco Polo's Pickles on Mrs. Tebow and trying to scare them.
Yes.
And then you got in the car. What was your reaction when you got in the car?
Oh my gosh. Well, the thing is I went to put my feet in the car and he was on the floor. So it, you know, like it looks very much like a real bird, and it looked like a dead real bird. And like his feathers, they like glisten, like they have that sheen even that you would see in like a real bird. And so I immediately started freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a dead bird in here. And I'm freaking out, and I'm like, and you're laughing. So then I think it might be fake. But then when I go to touch it, it feels real, and it's rigid like a dead thing would be, because it's so I couldn't tell if you were laughing because it was real or dead. I was really I was panicking. I was like a mess for what, I don't even know, several minutes.
Yeah, you literally could not swing your feet into the car.
I couldn't touch it.
And it was so dark.
It was so dark, and it was like, but it looks very, very, very real.
Yeah, so I think this might be some karma for us trying to pull a prank. It was coming back to you.
It didn't really come back to you, and that was your idea about the prank. So where's your karma? The karma, you just keep winning.
Again,
on this.
I like to pull pranks, and I hate when people pull pranks on me.
That one I was so terrified. Yeah.
My other nailed it. I got to go with the parent story. Yesterday was Mackenzie's big winter for Dance Nation AZ, their big winter concert at Arrowhead Mall outside there, and it was just so much fun. And I got a quick story about my daughter. She's just a dancer, but there was a time I was singing like beauty school dropout because she went through like between Massachusetts and Arizona. Like the girl like loves to dance. She'd always dance, but like half the time she wouldn't even go in these dance classes. Like they'd have to like drag her in there. And then we moved back to Arizona. Then there's another one. I'm like, her dance career's over. She's done. Like she's not a dancer. We're not going to another one. And then Mrs. Lagoria suggested Dance Nation. She's like, a lot of my students have had it. They like it. It's in the bubble, which I like because I don't like to like venture out too far from my house. Mind you, I drive less than a mile in my round trip each day. And so I love my bubble. And so this was like, I think this was the fifth dance company that she was trying to be a part of, and or maybe it was the fourth, and maybe I don't know. I don't
It
know the
doesn't
exact
matter. No
numbers,
one's going to
but
fact check you,
but
except for Mrs. O.
then yesterday I was sitting there and I was just like just thinking about like how different my daughter would be if she did not take one more chance. And like I was the one pulling the plug. I'm like, it's over. I'm like, don't even sign her up for it. Don't waste this money. And this place has just been a godsend for my child and
Yeah.
her confidence and the things that she does. And as I was sitting there, I was just blown away. And now, you know me, she's on the competition team, and she does like 3 or 4 competitions a year. And you know me, I get so nervous before them. I'm like, all right, do you have these moves ready? Are you ready? And yesterday was like the first day I did not even ask her like if she was ready, because I just knew like she was like ready to go out there and rock it with her facial emotions. You came. My back is hurting right now because I was sitting in the front row on this cinder, what do you call that?
Yeah,
like
cinder
a
block.
cinder
Oh,
block.
no, it's not like cement. It's
a
cement.
cement like
Yeah,
bench
awful.
there. And then you came and you were off to the side there, so I was a little jealous of like where you were
I had such a
sitting.
good spot.
You had a great angle, and it was kind of cool to see. You had one of your Moxie girls dancing. A lot of the Sierra Verde students came up to you, former students that you got to see yesterday, and you talked about like that impact and how excited kids get for you
cute.
taking in those things, and when you're there. And I know how much it meant to your Moxie girl that you were there, and you know some of the things that she said to my wife that was there. And so it was, you know, these things are so cool, but it was just such a proud moment for me as a dad, and just made me really like, reflect and think about, you know, what if, what if like I didn't take this one more shot for my daughter. And I can't take credit. It was my wife and Mrs. Ligori taking that shot.
Is so good. And you know, it's funny, that dance that she did, I think it was the first dance she was in, but you know, they were all lined up and they had to like put a leg out really fast, and it was like one after another and you had to get it just right. And from my vantage point, Z was like the second or third one in, and it was just so sharp. Like she's just on, like the second that music starts, she's just on, and something changes in her eyes, and she's such a performer. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And this week I have a short week, so I never take personal days, but I'm going to be out on Thursday, Friday. This is the second time she's walking in the Disney parade.
So cool.
And the last time she walked, I was just sitting on there on the sidewalk, and I was like just welling up. I was like, had tears in my eyes. I was like, I'm just so proud. And like Heather, like, pull yourself together. Like everyone's like, Rob, you crying? I'm like, these are just things I would never do as a kid, you know. And like it was just so cool to like, you know, give your kids these opportunities. And I think this time will be a little better, but you never know. You know, these emotions get over you, and I think that was the proudest moment I've ever been, like as a parent, just seeing your kid out there and kind of doing these things. And my daughter, she loves to dance. I mean, you know that she's a dancer, and like all these things just, you know, get you excited, and you know that's her passion. And when your kid finds their passion, you just get so excited.
And it is totally her passion.
It is. Well, we had a huge week. This week's Samsung Solve for Tomorrow was due. Talk us through this process. We've been working the last 2 weeks with our 3 8th graders, Wyatt, Mallory, and Lincoln.
Yeah.
They've been burning the midnight oil, making sure they're getting everything in there, their ideas, sharing their ideas. And you actually bumped into Wyatt Friday night when you went to support the Sierra Verde softball team. Yeah. Tell us that story.
So you want me to start with that then? The story?
Yeah, start with bumping into Wyatt's mom.
So we went to go see. So Sierra Verde has a softball team, and Coach Thomas and Mrs. Bonham and I wanted to go and support some of our friends that are on there, and especially Mrs. Copenhaver has continued to invite us, and so we wanted to go out and show her some sincere love. So we went on Friday, and it was really cool to see them in action. Cold. It was cold, and I don't like to be cold, and you should have seen the three of us. We acted like we were in the Arctic. And so, but right after the game, we went to this like little picnic area, and we're all hanging out and talking, and I saw Wyatt's mom, and greeted her, and she was there to watch Wyatt in a beach, I guess it's beach volleyball or sand volleyball. I don't know how you classify it, but whatever.
It's beach.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's on the sand, but it's hard for me to say beach because we're in Arizona and there are no beaches. So then I don't know if it's technically called that here. So we should find out. Anyhow, so I go over to tell Wyatt, hello. And Wyatt was just it's one of those moments that you're just so touched by, because she's an 8th grade girl and she's playing in the middle of this tournament, and she got so excited and ran over and gave me a big hug, and it just made my whole night. But especially because I think her partner was like, we were legitimately in the middle of a game. I'm not really technically sure you're allowed to do that, but I was really, really touched by it. And she came over to talk to us afterward, after she was done, and wanted to talk about Samsung. And her mom had questions about the Buddy Band and about, all these different things and things Wyatt had been talking about from class, and then an Astro Camp, and just so many cool things. I mean, that child is brand new to our school, and you would think she's been here forever. She's just such a viper, at heart. And so it was a really cool moment for me on a Friday night to run into her. I always get excited to see my students. Sometimes students are kind of like, you never know if that's exciting to them, especially 8th grade. So it's cute.
And the Samsung solve for tomorrow. We are the only school in Deer Valley School District, Deer Valley Unified School District, that had a proposal accepted. Third year in a row that we've been a finalist, in the state competition. It is so cool. And me and you go back and forth, like we always say, how we came together as a team. I'm always like, I'm just a kid from Maine. You're I'm the East Coaster, you're the West Coaster. And then me and you talk about the size of the state of Arizona, and we're like, this is our third year in a row that we've had a finalist in this competition. We're trying to get over that hump. We don't want to be 27 dresses. We don't want to be Catherine Heigl, I think it's Heigl. Yeah. We don't, we want, and these kids are just so all in on being that one that leaves their legacy. And this year they changed it. Usually they've always taken 6 state finalists, and this year they're going to be 2 state winners. There's going to be 2 state winners that you win $15,000 worth of technology for your school. And we talked about the importance, what this would look like on their college resume, their college applications, and they're just so excited. And they've been working so hard, talking to their parents, and bringing back all these different features that they would want. Wyatt's mom even asked the other night, she's like, when can I get my hands on one of these Buddy Bands?
Literally what she said, verbatim too. It's such a cool thing.
And so we submitted it. It was due at 12 o'clock Eastern, 12 midnight Eastern time.
Yeah.
And then we worked on it for a little bit here. And then we had to go our separate ways to polish up these last 2 questions. And we submitted it record time.
I told the kids we submitted it quote unquote early because it was 9:40.
Okay. All right. Never mind. I take that back.
Well, I mean, for us,
that's huge.
That is huge.
Usually we're down to the last minute.
But every year that we've done this was by far my favorite, because I've never seen kids have so much individual ownership, and then just the gelling of the team. They all feel a part of that. And that was their thing. They are so proud of it. And how you're saying they're excited, it's a college application thing and all of that. And they are excited about that. But there are 2 things that I feel are just filling their mind is, number one, they really believe in this concept. They want it to be done. They want to make it. They want to see what they can do. They're really, really invested emotionally in this product. And then the other thing is, they are so excited that this has given them an opportunity to get to be on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, in the news. Lincoln wants to be that winner to get in the news as well.
Yeah, he wants to be on the news. So this, that's really their thing is oh my gosh, this is such a cool offer. Yes, they are excited about the $15,000 and what that would mean for them for college applications, but they're just so cute like that.
Well, they're already figuring out how to get in the top 20. Mm-hmm. They're how do we pump this up and take this to the next level? And they really are. And I loved all their titles that they had within the project. You remember all their titles off the top of your head?
I know there was marketing guru and
brand and influencer.
It was good. They're just, and they have the best personalities, and they're so genuine. Honestly, they wanted to work on it even more than we made them take that one Monday off. Lincoln got stuck at the Mexican border for 6 hours. 6 hours. He was stuck there. And so he didn't get home till I think he said 4 a.m. And so the kids said, well, he's not going to be here today, and so we're not going to be able to meet. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then he showed up, and I said, why are you here? And he goes, well, we're going to meet today at lunch. And I'm like, well, I think just take the day, bud. And I touched base with you to see, and you're like, no, let's just give them a day. And he's like, but I'm ready. They wanted to do stuff all the time. They wanted to do every lunch, the whole entire lunch, not just because they like hanging out with us, because it has been a fun vibe with them. But they come in with ideas, and they like the stimulation of like seeing where this is going. I'm blown away by them.
So we're excited. We should find out December 23rd, which is always nervous. This could like make or break your holiday season. We're going to be a hot mess either way what happens. And we're just so excited for how passionate they are about this project. And I'm just blown away by how much they've given and how well they've worked together, and just those conversations. Like I tweeted like a Samsung education, like if you could just be a fly on the wall and kind of hear what these kids are doing and how they're going through that engineer design process. And we don't want to give too much away from that, because next week we're going to have all three of them on the podcast, and they're going to break it down for all of us and kind of talk about their insight there. But we're just so excited to submit that project. And
so cool.
And the big thing too is like that next step is like Samsung sends you all this like professional video equipment to produce your idea and give it that pitch to take it to the next level.
Well, those kids are characters, and like just knowing what they could do with that opportunity and what they will do, I cannot wait.
Yeah. So fingers crossed, Samsung Solve for Tomorrow, Sierra Verde STEAM Academy, these 8th graders, just talking about their legacy. And I cannot wait. They cannot wait to be on the podcast. No, and it's truly going to be awesome. Now, last week, I think my favorite part of the podcast was really talking about the announcement crew and how close they are. And I mean, we could do a whole podcast just on the announcement crew and the things that go on behind the scenes. And this week we rolled out our YouTube channel for the announcements, or Sierra Verde in general, which is the SV Viper Pit, no spaces. We're working on trying to teach the kids how to make these things more professional. Taisho can't wait to get his hands on, what's that program?
Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro, and kind of work on those things there. And he's like, I can't wait to get my hands on this
really
and
is
to do all these cool things. And I'm like, we got to show that one guy, Mr. Edgin, or I forget his name on Twitter.
Yeah,
but he's doing so many things. Once
things.
We show that to Taisho, he's going to lose his mind. But we talk about the power of the announcement, and I think with the toy drive, in years past, it might not have been where it is on the campus. It is the holiday season. It's all about giving back. And your class, tell us what your class did.
Well, I have to say, a big part of that. Well, we won the holiday drive competition for 7th and 8th grade. However,
I thought it was the whole school. I think it was the whole school.
First, there's 3 different grade level competitions. So there's K3. I think it was K second, because Colin's third, right?
Yeah.
And then it was 3-6.
3-5.
Yeah, 3-6, because Hunter
3-6.
won the other. And then, and that's not a spoiler alert, because it's being announced yesterday. And then 7th, 8th. And so we won for 8th grade. And I have to say, though, that was in large part because of my buddy Brady Plessity, because he's in these announcements, and he said, I just felt so bad every time you would talk about that toy drive. Like I felt it in my heart that I needed to do something to give back when I have so much, and I just wanted to be. And he said, as I'm picking out stuff for these kids, I got so excited thinking that it's going to make somebody else's holiday bright. And I'm really excited to hear an 8th grade boy being empathetic and and bless his mom. That's a weekday. We're tired. The last thing I want to do is go shopping at Kohl's. We're in December. These are dicey times for going to the store. But he came back and brought this huge bag, and then we had some other donations. So yeah, it was cool. It was a tough holiday, or it was a tough drive though, because it was really short, a small amount. So you kept
saying that over and over.
Yeah,
you're like, I can't get over how short this
and
this
Mrs.
toy drive
Sumner
is.
knew that too, and so she was really, really understanding about that. But next year, we have some ideas for extending that, and just the timing. Thanksgiving was a weird time this year.
But I also think the announcements, getting people excited. I love you were showing off toys and the kids really talking about it. And
that was fun.
One of our own kind of took a lead and kind of really did a good thing with that. And on the announcements as well, we had our first SV Center. We have 3 new SV Center hosts doing our whole, a big thing we've talked about the announcements is getting the middle school kids excited about the announcements, because when you go to a K-8, sometimes you get, you feel like these announcements are geared towards the younger kids and they don't apply to you. And I love what we started with SV Center. We're like, all right, one day a week is going to be all about like the highlights and sports of the week and get them excited using the Do Wink app. The Do Wink app is truly one of the most amazing apps.
It really is.
In terms of green screening, we do like this whole official like background, like with the
looks
video
so cool.
clips playing. And so tell us about our anchors.
So again, Lincoln, he's had quite a year. He is one of them, and his best friend Ella. The two of them are just a dream team there. And they showed up to the first game, which was not here. It was at Terramar. It was pouring rain that day, and it was quite a commitment. Got themselves there, took copious notes, and you did a whole recap, took videos and pictures and wrote stuff up and like just took ownership of the whole thing. And they've completely blown me away like with what they did. And then Sam, my son, I had no idea he was doing this because he never talked to me about it. But at the game, what was that, Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday, or I don't know, Tuesday or Thursday's game. He did a voice memo. It was Tuesday's game, and he did voice memos, and he basically was doing commentary as plays were happening. And he's this is something he's really good at and really enthusiastic about it, but I had no idea.
That might be an understatement.
Yes, I know. He is very enthusiastic. And so the three of them, we just threw them in on this week and did the first one. And you were worried because he's a big personality, and we weren't sure how that was going to pan out with the other two. And they actually just gel so well.
It was good. And we talked about like having like funny one-liners, and they were like so professional in their nose, and they felt like everyone, like they'd just be reading off it. And we talked about this is like something to get better and, something they'll grow from. And then they wanted to come in. Didn't Lincoln come in on Monday? Like they like were saving videos, uploading them to like this video drive that you created.
Yeah, and if they want to bring, so they'll usually send me a message and they'll say, do you want us to come tomorrow? And we took notes at the game, and I keep saying like, maybe give yourself a little time, like a day or whatever. And they're like, no, we're ready. And so they always are ready to go, and they're always so excited. And they are their biggest critics, which absolutely kills me. But they are growing. So they take the stuff that they watch their own stuff, and then we give them feedback. When we talked about the one-liners and like kind of just having a natural flow, I can tell that in no time we're going to forget that was ever even a conversation, because they have the personalities and that dedication to this whole concept and commitment, and I think that they're just going to blow it out of the water.
Well, then we filmed on Thursday, and then they want to come in on Friday again during lunch. Did. I mean, they were like giving up their lunch. They're like, we're ready to go again. We want to do this on Friday. You're like, take your day, take your time, and it was so cool, like how passionate they are. And then your 8th graders lost their mind with Sam's like energy, and there was 3 8th graders like in that one highlight there. And once we talked about the highlights, like each come back with a highlight next week, they were just like so excited, know what you're gonna say about this highlight. And they were talking about some analogies. People were like he's shredding the defense like cheese or something.
That was funny. That was really funny.
But it was so exciting there. And Sam gave up his whole lunch with his like 7th grade crew just to do this, and the people are loving it. Like and it's good for us to step back and be like, all right, this is more something student led, and these are things that they're all doing on their own, and we've never had that in terms of students doing like the sport reporting. Like the coaches have to do things, but now it's all the students kind of
and it's like so good. The stuff that they wrote up was really, really, I was very impressed with them. I really was. But like it is very much student voice. The announcements are becoming more and more and more of them having their own spin on things, having their own kind of personalities shine through. And it's a dream. Like nobody's ever, like no kids have taken it to that level. So kudos to them.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And you talk about the power and the kids, they just get so excited, and they'll become their own celebrities in time. And you never know where this leads, talk about high school, or maybe eventually one day, career, being on TV there and that terms. Now, I want to talk about one tech tip that like blew my mind this past week, and I took advantage of it at the last dance winter performance, not whatever, it's my daughter's dance.
Did I say whatever?
You did.
Oh,
whatever.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry.
Jeez, like man, I don't even know how to move on.
Recital?
Anyways,
I don't know, I was just meaning like performance.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. But I saw this on Twitter last week that when you're taking a video, there's another little white circle if you're on an Apple device that you can take pictures as you're taking a video. And this blew my mind. I retweeted it. I got so excited. I was like, I cannot get over this, that you can take a video and take pictures through it. So as video, because I always take videos, and I always have a hard time because like when you're at these performances, like you want to enjoy it in the moment live. So then I'm like trying to take videos, but also watch it live as well. But now I'm trying to like watch it live, but I'm also trying to take pictures, like hitting this like little like white thing underneath it, and it blew my mind. And then you took videos and all these pictures. I'm like, did you know about this? And you said you've known about this for a long time.
I have, but I mean, I know that it was something that the students told me, because I remember having that same dilemma. And I said, I need someone to be in charge of pictures because I'm going to be taking videos. And they were like, just take the pictures and the videos. And I remember going like, oh my gosh, everyone must know about this. And I feel so embarrassed. So I literally never mentioned that to you, not because I'm hoarding this great tech tip, but I just assumed I was the only one in the dark.
I was pretty upset this morning.
Yeah, you were.
I was like,
I had no idea. There's some things that everybody knows except for like, us. And then you don't want to be that person and then have people go like, well, yeah, like everybody knows that. But that one is really cool. That is a really good tech
so cool.
tip.
And like you got so many great pictures on top of like the video that you were taking. You were like in the perfect spot for Z. I was on the other side there. Again, my back is finally starting to feel a little better. But such a great tech tip. So if you're taking a video on an Apple device, you hit the video, and there's another little white button that pops up underneath
it's like
there.
a little white circle.
I'm gonna tweet out some tutorials on those this week. My mind was blown.
It is cool.
Now another tech tip that Mackenzie blew your mind with this week. Mackenzie is always making these awesome picture videos on phones. Now I don't know if you know this. Like you can take any picture that's on your phone and you like push it up. And then you hit this like make movie, and it does like all these face generated like these AI components, and it creates these long, short, medium videos to a song. You can change the song, and it makes the most beautiful slideshows. So she did one of you on my phone. It had like all these great pictures of like you and your dad, all the cool things that we do, and
it was so
she
cool.
sent it to you, and you're like, "How do you do this? This is a third party app," and you were just blown away by the video, and she showed you how to do it, and you were going to town this weekend, like
so
of just
fun.
like of busting out all these videos. You're like, check out this one, and
I loved it.
and tell everyone how many pictures are on your phone.
Well, I've cleaned it off a bit, so now there's only 18,000 pictures and videos.
What was it previously?
19,000.
I mean, that's like mind-boggling, the fact that.
It is, but here's the thing. My students know I am the teacher that's going to take a ton of pictures. And so a lot of them are personal. Like, when I go on, if I have a weekend, out of town or something, I'll take a lot of pictures because I always want to capture those moments.
You love taking
I
pictures.
love pictures and just moments, especially like, not to bring the room down, but like with my dad gone, like I treasure every single picture, every single video. It's like all those moments that you capture. And, we're not a generation that is printing those out really anymore. So just being able, like, that's why I love that slideshow thing that Z showed me, is really that's the way that we're going to experience those things, is just kind of reliving those moments that we've captured in time, because we don't really do the scrapbooks and stuff like that anymore. But I have a lot of them of my students in action doing their stuff.
It was so cool, and then it embeds videos in there, and like all these cool moments, and the ones that you sent like are just like crazy. And talking about Ella getting her permit, and even Mackenzie was like, "Look how young Ella looks," and my kids like missing their front teeth, and it's really powerful. So if you want to enhance your iOS device, take pictures as you're taking videos. You don't have to miss those moments and go back and forth. And also, if you have a great picture, just slide up and make a movie with that. Things that kind of blew my mind there. Excuse me. Usually you're the one coughing.
I know. Look at me holding my stuff together.
With all that being said, talking about technology, this week is CS Ed Week, which pays homage to the one, the only Grace Hopper. It's a week, one of my favorite weeks of the year, where we celebrate the hour of code and how we're embedding technology in the classroom. This is an awesome week. this is my favorite week, and we've been so busy like with the younger grades I have that we haven't even like gone deep into coding because we've been doing so many cool things. And like I'm like, oh my goodness, like we're already going into the third quarter here, and this week you're going to be doing dance party with your 8th graders. I'm so excited to kind of see what they come up with.
Oh, they're going to have so much fun.
You're going to be using Google's Make Code website with your Moxie girls tomorrow. I'm going to be doing some different things with the different grade levels to introduce
is it Google
them.
or is it?
It's from Google.
Oh, I
no, not MS Make Code. You're doing Google's.
Or is
Garner
it?
Blank.
Wait, isn't it Microsoft though?
No, Microsoft does the MS Make Code. You're doing the.
What am I doing?
You're doing like what we used to do with the Moxie girls, like where they would like code the avatars.
Made
like,
with code.
Yeah, made with code. Yeah,
Made with code.
Google's made with code,
Gotcha.
which is like geared towards like females and computer science and
Love
these different
their
things,
mission.
and some cool projects there. So that's exciting that you're doing that with the Moxie girls, and I'm excited to kind of roll out all the different things that I'm going to be doing with 1st through 8th grade this next week. And it's just such a great thing. And if you haven't done the Hour of Code, you can do it with any subject, any teacher. Check out code.org, and there's so many free resources in terms of what you can do with these students to get them excited about computer science, STEM education, and how it kind of goes into every subject.
But like, look how far, the culture of our school has, like, if you say Hour of Code, the teachers know what that is now. And like, you pioneered that at the beginning and like would go around and get people amped. But now I feel like it's kind of one of those things that teachers will just embrace, and they just know to embed in and see. They've seen the value in those like light bulb moments, which is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, so it's an awesome week. We really encourage you to do the Hour of Code. Everyone should be partaking in this. I forget what the stats are, but code.org is always tweeting out how many talk about like gender equity, like in the CS field, and getting kids excited. It's going to be every year, it just gets bigger and bigger. Like all the countries around the world there, in terms of how many people are participating this week in the Hour of Code. So we encourage you. This is what this classroom is about, kind of like what you do, and code is going to be a big part of their lives. But code is more of a thinking process. It's like those computational skills, those soft skills, problem solving. And last year you did like some pretty awesome things. I got to go in there. Like I want to tweet some of those out, like what you did last year with some of your projects.
Atoms. And remember, like there were a lot of problems that they didn't know how to fix. And then other kids that didn't necessarily have any background, they just tried. Oh, I figured that out. And then they would go and teach. That is my all-time favorite part of Hour of Code, is not that we're the experts on these things, but what kids will figure out and learn just by trial and error and like, discussion and critical thinking. I love it.
All right, we're coming to the end of our pod here. Now, how do you keep 8th graders focused 2 weeks before break? What is your advice?
My advice. So,
because we all know all kids, kindergarten through 8th grade, 9th through 12th, even college kids get a little squirrely before the break.
They do. And if we're being honest, probably teachers too.
Yeah,
everybody's,
totally.
Everybody's a little squirrely.
We're being honest.
We're all a little squirrely. And so I think it's beating your head against a wall to ignore that and try and fight against it. However, I also, myself as well as all the other teachers on campus, we still have stuff we need to cover, and finding that balance of you're going to get some curriculum in there for sure, but this is the time that like those getting them up, getting them moving, giving them brain breaks, giving them opportunities to do different things. So I love the timing of Hour of Code, because I think that's an awesome thing to really inject into one of these weeks, and things that are a little bit allowing them to process things in a creative way. I did GimKit with them last week, which is, you had rolled that out. You saw that on Twitter, and it's awesome. But trying to respect how kids learn and really trying not say like, you shouldn't be like this. We're all like that. We're all right there.
We're being honest.
It's that's how it is. But I want it to be fun, and I want my kids to want to be here. And it's tough to it's tough to compete with the lure of break being right there. So, for me, I just think tons of hands-on, getting them, excited and injecting as much fun as possible, but without compromising what you want them to learn and take away from it, I think. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I cannot agree more. Is like trying to really find that balance and understanding, like doing the ugly sweater, and like now me going more into the code thing, like where they're creating games, learn how things work. It's like not those fundamentals, but as a teacher, like you need to get through those things and kind of find that balance and embrace it and understand. And I feel like those teachers kind of, when they're trying to be like, nope, we're going to do this, and this is the way we do it, I feel like you got to kind of find that balance going in those last couple of weeks of understanding this is the child's mindset, this is the teacher's mindset. We've been in that seat before, we know what it's like. We know when we're in class, but our mind's somewhere else, and get them excited, get them pumped up to do these awesome things and have lots of fun with it.
Well, and I think for me is I never want my kids to think that when we're nearing a break, we're going to do things that are not curriculum, because I want them to know that even the content can be fun, and it should be so we don't just abandon those things and do things that are kind of not at all in that realm. It should be fun, and just finding the ways to say okay, we're going to cover this, but we're going to have a blast. And so that's kind of my goal for. But
I think the great thing, what you're doing, with the storybooks. Tell us about your storybooks that you're doing with them.
Well, the best part about that, I have to see if they still kept it in, but in our chant, the way it was is they actually mentioned, and don't forget, we have a project due when we get back from break, which I thought that was the coolest thing. And it's my class. They're like, you're the only teacher that gave us a project. And I was like, you're welcome. But they are taking what they've learned of states of matter. And again, we're not on states of matter right now, but that's a foundational chemistry concept, and a lot of stuff is all based on particle motion, and such a big component of our whole chemistry thing. So they have a month. So I rolled it out, a week or two ago, and they have till after break, and they have to write these children's books. And then we partner with second grade, and they'll read to them. And it is one of the most touching things, let's talk about impact. And when you want that crossover from the upper grades to the lower grades, that's one of the most powerful things. And the kids, they love that. The kids love it. Not just the little kids, but the older kids. And little kids keep it real. They are the best.
Last year, there were some harsh critics last year.
I had kids that cried in 8th grade. I told my kids this year, I was like, I had 8th graders that were in tears. They were really, really upset. But they were in tears because the comments were very true. They were honest, and kids, they just weren't prepared to hear that. But it's going to be great. I feel like they're going to bring some really amazing ideas. I'm completely blown away with what their ideas are already. It's a very higher level thinking, and I'm super proud of them.
These last 2 weeks, we encourage you, get creative, have fun, but still focus on the content, but do not lose sight of the child's mindset, and also embed the hour of code. That's the biggest thing. This is going to be the future. Prepare them for jobs that aren't even created yet.
Yeah, and there's so much that you can do. You can do a lot with hour of code, and kids will love it. They'll thank you for it, and you will be just, how many times have we had the chills from those moments, kids helping kids, and we could go on and on. We could do a whole thing just on that.
We could. All right, people, survive the week. As we always say, if you can be anything, be kind. Keep changing the world. Now, if you loved hearing stories about us going to the UPS Customer Service Center, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Every Tuesday, the latest episode will be sent right to your phone. Now, if you love seeing pictures, videos, kind of putting in real idea of what we're doing in the classroom, follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Mr. Lane the STEM Guy.
And me at A Positive Proton.